time for another video of the series, What Happened to a Protagonist of a Given Game After the End of the Game's Story. We already covered Nico, Carlito, and Tommy Vercetti. It's about time we talked about Claude, the loudmouth. That would probably be very keen to tell the story himself, but alright, enough of that. Perhaps I'll not embarrass myself further trying to make these jokes. Let me just get to it already. At first glance, figuring out what happened to Claude after the events from GTA 3 seems quite a challenge. But is it really? You bet it is. It's mainly because Claude didn't leave many loose ends at the end of the story. Asuka has been killed by Catalina. Ray Machowski left for Vice City in order to hide from the CIA, who wanted to cut off his cojones because he was messing with the cartel who were selling a drug called Spank. Wait, hold on. Isn't the CIA supposed to be like an administration of justice? Machowski, by interrupting the cartel, surely was doing the CIA a favor, right? Then why was the CIA angry at Mr. Machowski? See, that's because the CIA had an interest in it, similarly to Mike Torino from San Andreas, who was a government agent. In 1992, he was the boss of a criminal organization that was selling drugs to Big Smoke. Well, either way, Machowski was also gone. Going further, Donald Love has also disappeared without a trace, along with his secret packages and the Chinese expert in money counterfeiting. Kenji, as well as his sister Asuka, got laid out too. By the way, Kenji was killed by Claude himself, which is pretty weird really, considering that Kenji's gang was the only one that was straight with Claude. So if you're wondering why Claude clapped Kenji, I'll display a video about it for you in the outro. To summarize, Claude didn't really have any business left in this town. Furthermore, literally, all that everybody wanted, well okay, apart from the Yakuza, was to fill Claude full of holes. In Shoreside Vale or in North Staunton Island, Colombians. Central Staunton, Yardies. You can't even peacefully go to the ammunition downtown because as soon as you leave, a bunch of angry Jamaicans will mash up half of your new body armor anyway. And I don't even know why they're going after Claude. First of all, it was them who betrayed Claude, not the other way around. Plus, they did it for Catalina, who's freaking dead for Christ's sake. So even if they killed Claude, they wouldn't get a broken penny out of this, because the person with whom they made a deal in the first place is not with us anymore. So I guess they must be doing it for entertainment purposes. Or they just got full warehouses of ammunition, so they want to make some room there, or something. Cause if not, then I ain't got a freaking clue. And in terms of Portland, it would be unwise to even get anywhere near this part of town, as not only the Chinese want to turn us into noodles, but they're also the Leones, who remember very well who booked their boss and aren't exactly willing to let that slide. And these punks are packing serious heat, you know. As soon as they lay eyes on you, bang bang, 2 shotgun hits at your whip and you end up in a hospital. So Claude, in order to enjoy the money he made during the game's story and to be able to live in peace, first would have to get rid of all the douchebags that want him dead, or to make a deal with them, which isn't very likely since Claude isn't a very talkative PR kind of guy and doesn't seem to possess outstanding diplomatic skills. So the first scenario would be that after the game's story, Claude will want to put all these hostile gangs to bed. The problem is that as much as Claude is an invincible one-man army ruthless psychopath, it would be quite a challenge to take care of all these thugs on his own. The only gang with which Claude had a crystal clean relationship were the Red Jacks. However, it was only a minor street gang whose only turf were the poor neighborhoods of Wichita Gardens. You could also count Yakuza as Claude's allies, even though Claude once killed their leader, Kenji, but luckily no one discovered that it was him who done it. Still, following Asuka's death, Claude at this point didn't have any contacts at Yakuza. Besides, after the deaths of Asuka and Kenji, so like 2 of the most important figures of the Yakuza, the organization was focused on getting on their feet again. And getting involved in wars for some mute psycho wouldn't exactly help them achieve this. So Claude's only choice was to work with the thugs from Wichita. With Claude's help, perhaps they would eventually become significant in Liberty City's criminal underworld. Claude, after all, was a killing machine of the highest order. We know from the game's story that this dude, on his own, was able to cause one gang a lot of trouble, thereby almost single-handedly winning someone a war. So Claude and D-Ice and his men would first take over Cedar Grove from the hands of the Colombians, and then try to extend their influence in Pike Creek. And only then could they think about starting some serious conflicts in other parts of the city. I must admit, that all sounds very interesting, and sounds like fantastic material for some DLC. In such a scenario, Claude wouldn't leave Liberty City, and would have some objective in his life. So even though this theory is a bit wild and certainly difficult to realize, story-wise, it makes a lot of sense. A much easier to realize theory is for Claude to leave Liberty City, cause you know, bro made a lot of money by killing and stealing. angered many dangerous people as mentioned a while ago, so perhaps it's a good idea to call it a day and get away from all these angry mobsters and other scumbags and start to enjoy the money he made. You know, retire, just like Michael the Santa Claus from GTA 5. Apparently, that's the whole idea of being a criminal, ain't it? First, you rob and kill to make a boatload of money, and then get away and live under a palm tree on a beach in the Bahamas for the rest of your life. Claude could go back to San Andreas and perhaps take on racing again. He surely had some contacts left there, even after all these years. Claude could also go to Vice City, link up with Ray Machowski, and see how he's doing. Maybe the two would put some business together. There are many options here. Huge credit to Rockstar for conducting the story in such a way that creates a lot of room for speculation that isn't just a speculation, but you can actually support it with some facts from the games. Anyway, going further, the third possibility is that, well, this one's actually pretty original, and I reckon it may surprise you, but hear me out before you make any rash judgments. So, in my opinion, there's a possibility that Claude, after the events from GTA 3, would simply commit an S. Why do I think that? Well, I see a great analogy to a thread that is spoken about a lot on the channel recently, namely, the story of Toshiko Kasen. For those who skipped the episodes in which Toshiko was mentioned, or are simply first-time viewers, long story short, Toshiko ended it all because she lost sense in her life. See, Toshiko once fell in love with a certain samurai named Kazuki, whom she soon married, thereby making him the boss of Yakuza in Liberty City. Not long after, it turned out that Kazuki didn't love Toshiko at all and married her only to get to the top of the tree in Yakuza. Toshiko realized it and was devastated. She swore to herself to destroy Kazuki and his whole organization. When Tony helped her realize this plan, she jumped out the window, and you know the rest. So as you can see, Toshiko loved Kazuki so much that she couldn't imagine a happy life without him, even though Kazuki was a straight-up asshole. The relationship between Claude and Catalina could have been of a very similar nature. Catalina never loved Claude, while Claude thought she did. The harsh truth came to light during the bank heist at the beginning of GTA 3. To sum up this matter, I think Claude could be a Toshiko here, while Catalina could be a Kazuki. Claude truly loved Catalina, who abused it and used Claude to help her in robberies, eventually betraying him. Claude, following getting revenge on his ex in the final mission, could be pushed by similar motives as Toshiko and decided to end his life. This theory is wild, but can't be written off, mainly because we can see that Claude isn't that sort of a guy on which bad experiences don't have any influence, at least to a certain point. He was loyal to Catalina, who in the end set him up. He was loyal to Salvatore, who also set him up. Claude was also loyal to the leader of the Jamaicans, who also eventually lured him into a trap. So who knows whether his betrayal of Yakuza wasn't caused by his experiences from the past. Actually, in the GTA series, the motive of betraying people for no clear reason appears quite frequently. A great example of this would be Salvatore, who betrays Claude, possibly because of how CJ backstabbed him in the past, during his time in Las Venturas. So yeah, the theory with Claude committing an S is indeed wild, but again, it can't be written off for many reasons. It simply makes sense. And of course, today's episode couldn't run without speaking about whether Claude shot Maria dead at the very end of GTA 3. For those unfamiliar, in the last mission in the game, after the screen fades out, right before the end credits, we can hear Maria chatting some rubbish to Claude. It is after she's rescued by him from the hands of Catalina. Then we can hear a shot, and at the same precise moment, Maria suddenly stops speaking. Then it's just silence, and the credits roll on.
I broke a nail and my hair is ruined. I mean, can you believe it? This one cost me $50.
And obviously there are two possible scenarios. Either Claude actually capped Maria, or he just wanted her to shut her stupid mouth, as she was talking some total nonsense. She was simply very annoying. It makes sense since Claude is a mute and couldn't tell her to
shut the fuck up! Thank you.
So he fired a shot into the air so Maria knows that he don't want to listen to her crap. Both scenarios got their pros and cons, because you know, on one hand, it sucks a little to kill the only person who cared about you. At the end of the day, Maria loved Claude, but well, actually, she would fall in love with anyone or anything, as we know from GTA Liberty City stories. There, Maria fell in love with Tony, some biker who beat her, and God knows with whom else. Oh, and all that while being married to the Don of the Mafia family. Obviously. Yeah, anyway, it's also worth pointing out that it was Maria that introduced Claude to Asuka, thanks to whom he met Ray or Donald Love. By working for these two, Claude earned a lot of money. On the other hand, however, it was partially Maria's fault that the Mafia wanted to hunt Claude down to begin with, after she told Salvatore about her alleged love affair with Claude. That could only make Salvatore more paranoid, which then led to him betraying Claude. Moreover, Claude was a complete sociopath that, from a certain point, did not build any bond with anyone. So putting a bullet in some gold digger whose only hobbies are getting high and having sex with half the degenerates in the city simply wouldn't be a problem for him. But the main conclusion we should take from this is that there is indeed a very likely scenario that Claude let go of his past traumas, married Maria, and they lived happily ever after. The video I talked about earlier about Claude is being displayed for you on the left side of the screen right now. Write in the comments what are your ideas regarding Claude's future. Meanwhile, I'm saying goodbye. Take care and see you soon.